What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change. In this video, we're gonna pump the brakes on the Canucks news for a little bit, as I want to save some of those topics for over the next couple days, as I mentioned in a previous video. So I was thinking, well, I want to do at least one more video, at least for today, to make up for the lack of videos over the weekend. And I thought, well, why don't I share my 2025 NHL Stanley Cup playoff predictions? A lot of people are doing it. I may as well jump on that bandwagon too. So I'm gonna do that. We're gonna go over my bracket that I did for the NHL bracket challenge, and I'm going to series by series give you my prediction on who's gonna win and how many games. So let's go ahead and actually, before we dive right into that, let me get my sponsor read out of the way so we can just dive right into these playoff predictions. So let me start off with my sponsor read. Are you looking for an energy drink that is jitter free, crash free, no sugars, no artificial colors or dyes, and no calories? Then Dubby Energy is for you. With over 15 plus unique custom made flavors, go ahead and get a starter sampler pack, which includes 3 different flavors. Use code The Line Change to get 10% off your next purchase. Dubby Energy, your taste buds' favorite energy drink. All right, so let's dive right into this. Um, Let me bring up the bracket. My sharing the screen here. Look on the screen. So yeah, this is my bracket. Um, as you can see, I picked the Winnipeg Jets to go all the way and win the Stanley Cup this year, and that's just based on the type of season they had this year, and the fact that they have Connor Hellebuck as their potential, or well, not potential, but two back-to-back Vezina Trophy winner. Yes, I know Hellebuck has struggled in the playoffs, as have the Jets, but I really do think this is the year for the Winnipeg Jets. And, hey, as a Canucks fan, hey, if it can't be Vancouver who brings the Stanley Cup back home to Canada, I would want it to be the Winnipeg Jets. So as you can see, oh, sorry. As you can see, I picked the Jets to essentially defeat the Washington Capitals in the Stanley Cup final. So let's start off on the Western Conference in the first round. I know the series has technically already started, but I'm going to say the Winnipeg Jets defeat the Blues in 6 games to advance to the second round over the St. Louis Blues. Moving on to the Colorado Dallas series. Now, I think this is going to be quite the series between Dallas and Colorado. Obviously, everyone knows Colorado just recently got their captain back, Gabriel Landeskog, who has not played since June of 2022. That was the last time that Gabriel Landeskog played in the NHL or played any type of hockey up until this point. I know he played a game in the AHL for the Colorado AHL team. That was his first actual time back on the ice, but now he's suiting up for game 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, that game has already ended, and Dallas was able to mount a win. So the series is now tied 1 apiece after Colorado won game 1. I do think that Colorado is going to beat Dallas in this series. And I'm going to go ahead and say, since we're 2 games in, I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be 6 games. Keep in mind, Dallas just recently had some injuries. They had Jason Robertson go down. They've already been without Miro Heiskanen, although it's looking like he could potentially come back during this during this first round of the playoffs. But Colorado is just so deep with Nathan MacKinnon, Marty Necas, Cale Makar, and now they're getting their captain, Gabriel Landeskog, back. I think Colorado is going to be a bit of a sleeper going into the rest of this playoffs. And then moving forward to Minnesota and Vegas, I feel as though Vegas is going to win this. I'm going to go ahead and say 5 games. Vegas comes out on top against Minnesota. I haven't really paid too much attention to that series, at least where the score is right now, or when it comes to, I believe Vegas won game 1. That I believe I do know. But I think Vegas is going to defeat Minnesota in 5 games in the first round. Moving down to the Kings and the Oilers. Now, obviously, I'm a Vancouver Canucks fan. I do not like the Edmonton Oilers. And that's not me saying I don't like Oilers fans, but I just dislike the Edmonton Oilers. And yes, last year in the second round had a lot to do with that. So I'm obviously wanting the LA Kings to eliminate the Edmonton Oilers in the first round. And I do think they are going to in 7 games. And believe it or not, despite my dislike, notice how I'm not using hate, I'm using the word dislike of the Edmonton Oilers. I have always liked the LA Kings. Actually, I don't know if you guys can, well, you can't really see with the screen that low, but behind that Luongo jersey there, I do have a LA Kings Jonathan Quick jersey. Maybe I'll bring that out at some point and show you guys. But yeah, I do have a LA Kings. It's the only team that's not the Canucks. It's the only hockey jersey that I have that's not Canucks. There's a reason for that. I got that because a number of years ago, Kings were on a bit of a run. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a Kings jersey. And, me being a big fan of goalies, I figured I'd get myself a Jonathan Quick jersey. So that is that. But on a little side note, I got to admit, I do not like the new Kings logo compared to the old one or the one that they had prior to this. It just seems very generic and bland to me. I know it's like a throwback to their retro logo. I just don't really like it. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys agree with me. Do you guys not like the new logo? Do you guys prefer that LA Shield one that they had? It just seems a little too generic for my taste, but that's just my opinion on that. Moving over to the East, as you guys saw from the thumbnail, obviously, also being a Canucks fan, I'm not a Maple Leafs fan, despite me being friends with, or actually one of my very good friends being a Maple Leafs fan. So I, for once, think Toronto is, or actually no, according to my bracket, never mind, I let that dictate my bracket. So I picked Ottawa to defeat Toronto Maple Leafs. Now that I obviously did that a little prematurely after game 1 the other day, but that was just me just being like, I'm not rooting for Toronto. So I ended up picking Ottawa. So I'm gonna go ahead and say 7 games because we're already 1 game down. I do think that's going to be a good series between the two Ontario teams. It's going to be probably going to get pretty messy at some point. But for the sake of my bracket, I went with the Ottawa Senators just because I do like the underdog. It's something that my dad passed on to me, and he's always cheered for the underdog. So I figured I'd do the same, even though I don't think Ottawa is going to make it past Toronto. On that note, I also don't think Toronto's going to make it out of the second round. Yeah, I went there. But let's move on to Tampa Bay and Florida. I have Florida defeating the Lightning. I'm going to say 7 games for this one between the battle of the Floridian teams. Obviously, Florida won the cup last year, and I was actually cheering for the Panthers to win the cup last year as well. I do think they are very, very talented, with the likes of Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Reinhart, Sergei Bobrovsky. They've got Sam Bennett, and among others. I just think Florida is keen on repeating as Stanley Cup champions. So I have the Florida Panthers defeating the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7 games in the first round, excuse me. And then moving on to Washington and Montreal. Now, normally I would be cheering for Montreal, but they are facing the Capitals. And after the season that Alexander Ovechkin has had this season, I would really like to see him go all the way to the finals. It would definitely cap off this record-breaking season he's had. So I have the Capitals winning in 5 games for the first round. Moving down to the last one on the Eastern side, Carolina and New Jersey. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on this channel, but my second favorite team, other than the behind the Canucks, the one I mentioned, I'm a fan of the Kings, but the team that I actually cheer for, outside of the Canucks, are the Carolina Hurricanes. I've in the last couple of years become a big fan of the Hurricanes. So I have the Hurricanes defeating the New Jersey Devils in 6 games in the first round. And that's going to do it for the first round. Let's move on to the second round, where, as you can see, I have the Winnipeg Jets defeating the Colorado Avalanche. I'm going to say the Jets over the Avalanche in 7, with the Jets just squeaking past the Colorado Avalanche. Moving on to the other second round in the West between the Vegas Golden Knights and the LA Kings. Again, this brings into my liking of the LA Kings. I have the Kings over the Vegas Golden Knights in 7 games. Moving back over to the East. Once again, ignore the Senators being in the second round against the Panthers. If I could change it to the Leafs, I would, but I have the Florida Panthers I should say, for the sake of this bracket, I have the Panthers sweeping the second round over the Ottawa Senators to advance to the conference final. And then moving down to the Hurricanes and the Capitals, I have this one, the Capitals advancing to the conference finals in 7 games over the Carolina Hurricanes. Moving back over to the West, I have the Winnipeg Jets. Obviously, as I picked them as my favorite to win the Cup, I have them defeating the LA Kings in the conference final in 7 games. Moving back over to the East, I have the Washington Capitals defeating the Florida Panthers in 7 games in the conference final to advance to the Stanley Cup, which brings us to the Stanley Cup final of my pick of the Jets versus the Capitals. I too think that this series will go 7 games, with the Winnipeg Jets finally bringing the Stanley Cup back home to Canada. So those are my brackets. Those are my predictions for this. And yeah, I think the Jets are going to go all the way. I know everyone talks about the whole, President's Trophy curse. I mean, it happened to the Canucks. But I think I don't really believe in that curse all too much, despite it happening to the Canucks. But yeah, at the end of the day, I do think it's going to be the Jets who end up raising the cup at the end of the season, which is going to be great for the country and for the Jets organization, which has gone through so much, having, hockey essentially been taken away, at least at the NHL level, for so many years, and then them finally bringing it back. And then they've just had such a great team over the last few years where they've come up short in the playoffs. And they got a goaltender the caliber of Connor Hellebuck. You have to believe a guy like as talented and as good as that is going to help them bring a cup to Winnipeg, especially with guys like Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor. You even got Adam Lowry as well, and Nikolai Ehlers, even though I believe he's injured right now. But when you got a team like that, I put a lot of faith in the Winnipeg Jets to go all the way and win the Stanley Cup this year. Obviously, I'm not the only one when it comes to, at least sorry, I can't talk. In particular, Canucks fans, they are rooting for the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm among them. So those are my 2025 NHL Stanley Cup playoff predictions. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. Who do you guys think is going to go all the way this year and win the Stanley Cup? Also, let me know that in the comment section down below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to The Line Change and would like to keep up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks content, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Remember, you can find us on social media on Twitter/X at Line Change Van. You can find us on Instagram at The Line Change. You can find us on Facebook. Just search The Line Change on Facebook, and you can find our Facebook page. If you prefer a audio version of this podcast, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video.